Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm Jano Lieber, MTA Chair and CEO, along with Chief Customer Officer Shanifa Riera, and also the Executive Vice President of Subways, the man who runs the subway system, Bill Amoroso. Today, we've got big news for folks in Queens. Starting on Monday, we're going to be permanently swapping F and M service between Manhattan and Queens between 6 a.m. and 9:30 p.m. on the weekdays. I'm going to let Bill get into the details, but about which trains are swapping and exactly how it's going to work. But, why are we doing this? Folks may be asking, why are you swapping lines that, have historically been on certain routes? There is a merge. This is the secrets of the subway system that we inherited from our predecessor. There's a merge at Queens Plaza, which is a choke point, which creates all kinds of crossing and throughput problems, and which actually causes a ton of delays for all the lines on the Queens Boulevard line. That's the F and the M, but also the E and the R. All of those lines are being delayed by the way that the current configuration works. The swap is going to allow us to provide more consistent running times and more throughput, and it's going to increase reliability for 1.2 million riders who use these trains every day. 1.2 million. That is more people than ride the entire Philadelphia subway system, the SEPTA subway system. So this swap is a big, big deal. A lot of work went into it. Tip of the hat to New York City Transit Operations Planning, who've been looking at this for some time. But I'm going to turn it over to Bill Amoroso to get into some of the technical details. Bill.
Great. Thank you, Jano, and good morning, everyone. As Jano said, I'm Bill Amoroso, the Executive Vice President of Subways for New York City Transit. It's great to be here this morning to remind riders about the upcoming service change that will greatly improve reliability on the E, F, M, and R lines. Currently on weekdays, the routes of the E, F, and M cross over each other near Queens Plaza to continue on their trips. Swapping these routes between Queens and Manhattan eliminates that merge, and it reduces the chances of trains waiting for their opportunity to cross. So what are we talking about? If you've been on an E train at Queens Plaza going to Manhattan, and you see the M across the platform leaving first, you're waiting for that train to go ahead of you before you can proceed. If you're heading towards Queens on an F train, you could leave this station at Queensbridge and be stopped ahead waiting for an E train to cross in front of you. With the service change that starts on Monday, that type of delay is a thing of the past. So to get into the specifics, starting Monday, December 8th, during weekday hours, approximately 6 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., the F will now stop at Queens Plaza, Court Square 23rd Street, Lexington Avenue 53rd Street, and 5th Avenue 53rd Street. The M will replace the former F stops here at 21st Street, Queensbridge, Roosevelt Island, Lexington Avenue 63rd Street, and 57th Street, 6th Avenue. This is a permanent change, something we've talked about for a long time internally, and we're very excited to be rolling it out. Keep in mind this only affects weekday service during the busiest times. Service on the overnight and the weekends will stay the same as it is today. So at New York City Transit, we're always looking for ways to improve service, and this is an example of using data that we now have available to make informed decisions about the service we provide. As I said, this is something we've thought about internally for a while, and now by using data, we've determined that this will not only reduce delays, but it will benefit customers. We've had many months with record on-time performance this year. That's no accident. It's a result of these efforts to better drill down on the service we provide, and it's great to continue those efforts and move that even more forward with this service change. I'd also like to thank our friends in Operations Planning who've helped with the analysis, also our service delivery team and the Performance Analysis Unit who've identified the possibilities that this improvement would provide. And a big thank you to our stations team who has been out working hard, changing signage, getting posters up, making sure customers are ready. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention station improvements that are happening right here at 21st Street, Queensbridge. We're installing additional light fixtures. We're putting a new canopy above an entrance staircase at street level to protect riders from inclement weather. There's also new signage, a new ADA tactile edge on the platform, and repairs to some of the floor tiles. There's a lot the Queensbridge community and all our EFM and R riders can look forward to. So with that, I'll turn it over to Shanifa.
Thank you, Bill. Good morning, everyone. I'm Shanifa Riera, Chief Customer Officer. So whenever there's a big service change like this, our first priority is about making sure our customers remain in the know and they're fully informed, which is what we've been doing, for the past couple months. And as Bill said, there's been a lot of work around internal planning. So how are we getting the word out? We are using every available method across every platform, whether it's maps, posters, brochures, the digital feeds, announcements in stations and aboard trains, the strip maps, digital screens, but most importantly, as Bill said, having customers, ambassadors in the stations, for that face-to-face interactions with our customers to get their questions answered. Riders can always learn more about the FMM swaps by visiting our website at mta.info/FMswap. And as a reminder, we're always looking for feedback and ways to improve. So don't be shy with your thoughts, and we look forward to getting your insight during the next customer survey. So with that, I will throw it back to Chair Lieber for questions.
Yeah, I just want to underscore that this customer service team that Shanifa runs has done a hell of a job working with the transit folks to get the word out. We've distributed 300,000 of these brochures. There have been 500 ambassadors out there with face-to-face interactions with riders to make sure they were aware of it. And there's also, all that information coming through announcements, the digital signage on the trains, and all of the MTA platforms, both the website, social media, and our direct-to-customer contact. So, I talked to a couple people at the station on the way in, and they're like, oh, yeah, we know about this. You guys have been on this for months. So I think we've done a good job of getting the word out. With that, Tim, we'll take some questions on topic.
First question today, Marcia Kramer right there. Off topic, on topic. Andrew Siff of WNBC. Andrew.
I have two on-topic questions. One is, Jano, when this tends to happen, when the MTA got rid of the V train or got rid of the 9 train on the Upper West Side, people don't like their routine changing, even if you're telling them it's going to make the commute better. Can you just address that? The people have been taking the F train from this station for decades, and now all of a sudden it's the M train. Can you just address the sort of unsettling aspect of something of their routine changing?
Listen, we're all New Yorkers, and we all know we have our set routines. Nobody likes change, but here's the real benefits. Folks in this station in Roosevelt Island are going to get less crowded trains, whichever direction they head into. The F train coming from eastern Queens is really, really crowded in the morning. So you have more chance of getting a seat. Folks in this community, which has the largest, Queensbridge houses, the largest NYCHA housing project in the city of New York, 7,000 residents, have access to all of the retail and the shopping opportunities along Queens Boulevard, which were being skipped over by the F train in the past. So they're real benefits, and I know that people will start to recognize them, although obviously everybody needs to adjust their routine accordingly.
And just as a quick follow-up to that, I don't know if I still need the mic, the M train currently runs less often than the F train. Are they losing a little bit of frequency of service at a station
like this? There's a tiny bit of difference in terms of frequency, but the fact that the F train is so crowded means that the dwell times are longer, they get stuck in stations, and they can't always keep that maybe tighter schedule. So it really is going to end up being, I think, a better deal for folks who get that M train. More chance of getting a seat, less crowded train, and more chance of keeping the schedule, because realistically crowded trains mean more schedule challenges.
Yeah, and some service added to the M train as well, I think. Right.
Yeah, we've added a couple trains in the morning rush to make sure that those M headways are awfully close to the current F headways.
All right, anybody else on topic? On topic? Arthur Chen right there from Fox 5. Where's Ray? Is running over.
No running, Ray. No running. Thanks for doing this, guys. Two questions. Maybe the first one's for Bill because it has to do with the data. You say 1.2 million riders affected. What did your data show you in terms of what percentage of those riders are negatively affected by this change? And then the second question, if we can remember it, is you have a changeover for the swap every morning at 6 a.m. How will riders know that they missed the last train and that they have to engage in that swap?
Okay, so but here's the important thing, Arthur, reacting to your question. The positive, there are no negative, nobody who's being hurt by this. Everybody benefits when we can get more throughput on the Queens Boulevard line. That means more trains can go through and more trains can, everybody's train is more likely to be on time. And in the most crowded stations, which are like this station and the Roosevelt Island station, as you get closer to Manhattan, those people are now going to have a chance to get a seat. They're going to get on a less crowded train. So there are real benefits that everybody is going to see. I don't think that it's fair to say that there are people who are being hurt. Their schedules, their commute is being changed a little bit, but I think that everybody benefits when we can carry more people on the Queens Boulevard line, which has over 1 million customers every day. Bill.
Yeah, so addressing your second question about keeping people informed of the last change, we'll have our dedicated announcers making announcements in stations. There'll also be signage in stations so customers know what time the changeover is from the F going through 53rd Street to going back through 63rd Street. Okay.
All right, anybody else on topic?
Anybody who knows me knows when I'm in Manhattan, on the Upper West Side especially, there's a big chance that I'm going to run for that last B train. People know, who live in neighborhoods that are served by service which isn't 24/7, know that schedule by and large. I know that last B train is going to be around 9 o'clock at night every day.
All right, I think we've exhausted the on topics. We're going to move around. Marcia Kramer is still patiently standing by. CBS New York, Marcia.
Hi, Marcia.
So I want to talk to you about fare evasion, which remains a really sticky wicket for you. Yesterday, you talked about a new thing that you want to try, the European system. Wonder if you could talk about what you think it's going to do, not only for buses, but for subways as well. Explain to us how that's going to make it better.
Okay, number one, we've made huge progress on subway fare evasion. The combination of changes to the physical turnstiles in the whole fare array and having more enforcement, including gate guards at the gate and changing the exit gates, which were the superhighway fare evasion. Bottom line, 35% reduction in fare evasion since we began this effort about a year and a quarter ago. On buses, no secret, because we don't have a cop or an agent on every bus, it's a challenge. What I talked about yesterday, and we've been talking about it for a couple of months now, is that when we have an all tap and ride system, when the transition to Omni is complete, we will be able to have fare enforcement agents get on a bus and say to anybody, please show me your phone, show me your Omni card, show me that you paid. So that's what I mean by European-style fare enforcement, which is you can have validation of payment on a random basis, based on having seen people who didn't pay the fare as well, take place across the system. We can't do that now because as long as we're accepting coins on bus, people could, say I paid in coins or whatever, which is not the case. Nobody's paying $2.90 in coins. They're giving us about 75 cents on average and a lot of Garden State Parkway tokens from 1958. So once we get rid of coin on bus, which is not widely used at all anymore, and have a full tap and ride system, that's when we can go to full fare validation anywhere, anytime.
Do it on subways and commuter rails as well?
Well, we do it on commuter rails right now. That is what we have. We have a minuscule fare evasion issue on commuter rails. What remains of fare evasion on commuter rail is people who are not activating their tickets, and we're dealing with that in the way the system is changing this coming January. So the fare evasion issue. Other than that is virtually non-existent on commuter rail, and on subway we're going to keep. When we have new fare gates, which we're starting to test out, we're going to be able to have a much less porous system and further knock back subway fare evasion. We got to spread it around.
We got to move it around a little because.
One more, okay.
The CBC basically says that what these fare evasion agents should be able to do is
justice system. To make it clear, we're not interested in getting first-time fare evaders sent to jail, but if you're fare evading every day for years, if you're piling up tickets on that, maybe it's time the criminal justice system deal with it differently. And we're talking to DAs and the NYPD about getting that started.
All right. You name-checked the Garden State, sir. You know the rules. We got to go right to News 12, New Jersey. Tom Wisnowski is right here.
Welcome to New York.
Thank you, sir. Talking congestion pricing as we approach 1 year.
Yeah.
Particularly, people want to know what's been earmarked for 2025. What was earmarked to be done? What has been done? There's so many long-term projects. What was done this year and what still has to be done this year with those monies?
Well, it's not a secret. We've started to put the revenue from congestion pricing, which is right on target of what we projected, frankly, like everything else we projected. But the revenues have been turned into projects, ADA projects, that's putting elevators into subways to make the system fully accessible, supporting the 2nd Avenue subway. It's supporting new signaling systems so we can run more trains and with more reliability. And it's doing a ton of state of good repair investments, also new subway cars and new commuter rail cars. Huge benefits for the whole system, for our riders, especially folks from New Jersey who get off the NJT or get off the bus and use the New York City subway system and mass transit system to get around. The other benefit for New Jersey, not to be overlooked, drivers are actually letting us know they kind of like congestion pricing because it's saving them a ton of time. Folks from Jersey who use the Holland Tunnel are seeing 15 to 20-minute time savings on a daily basis. We're getting great feedback from Jersey riders, Jersey drivers and Jersey bus riders who are seeing that benefit in time spent with family and time to do other things. Next question.
When it comes to...
I don't want to keep going.
No, we got to move on, Tom. But you saw the benefit firsthand when you came over here. Let's go to Sam Liebman from New York 1. Samantha.
I just wanted you to talk. First of all, there's going to be like a big protest tomorrow about the fare hike in front of the governor's office. Can you just address these people's? I know, but a lot of people don't understand that there is a discounted program for people who can't afford the fare. And also, can you talk about the effects on public safety, the possible effects on public safety from these new fare gates as well? Meaning that, if you say a lot of the criminals don't pay. Meaning that, if you say a lot of the criminals don't pay the fare, so will these keep that element out, maybe less confrontations with police on fare evasion because of these new fare gates?
Okay, a lot to unpack there. So the bottom line is the New York City transit fare is going up 2% per year. Everybody knows that is well short of where inflation's been. We've been going at that rate for the last 10 to 15 years now. What we're doing is we're gradually increasing it in small increments so that we can, for the first obligation is we got to pay our workforce, which is 70% of our budget, and they get little cost of living raises every year, and they deserve them. So that's the bottom line. The rest of America in the transit world is facing huge fare hikes. Philadelphia, they're looking at a 20% fare hike. New Jersey Transit's had 20% fare hikes in the last year. Chicago is in a financial crisis. They're talking about major fare hikes and or cutting service. New York is the place where the fare increases are well below inflation. We're keeping the system financially secure so we can provide people who need transit with transit every day on a reliable basis, number one. Number two is what we're doing is we're testing new fare gates. Samantha, you know this. The old turnstiles, no secret, are way too porous for today's world, right? You have to update the technology from time to time. This is basically close to 100-year-old technology. The rest of the world has recognized that there are ways to deter fare evasion by having a less porous entry point. We are experimenting with 4 or 5 different models of turnstiles to deter it. I love the fact that in addition to deterring fare evasion, a good both the fare enforcement technology and also enforcement by cops and others at the gate actually keeps out criminals. We net about 100 guns a year just by fare evasion enforcement. People would be coming to the system and moving around with weapons. I want to make sure those people don't come into transit for obvious reasons.
All right, Ethan Stark Miller right here from, no? Question?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, you did, right? AM New York, he's on the cover today. Ethan.
Just following up on the fare evasion on buses, how is this exactly going to look? Are these teams going to be similar to the Eagle teams? And is this going to require more personnel?
We are looking at increasing the amount of personnel, and what's going to be is that the folks who do this are going to have handheld have handheld technology that allows them to check an Omni card, a credit card, however you paid, whether it was on your phone, to confirm that you actually paid, and that will enable us to see who fare evaded and who paid, and it's a lot more certain and a faster way. We're also looking at upgrading how the tickets are written so that you can do them more easily automatically, and so that those interactions are faster, and people will be able to predict that if I don't pay, I might actually get a ticket and start to develop a bit of a record. We don't want people to have that, and they're gonna get the message, we hope.
All right, closing out the proceedings today, Keith Feldman with a question.
So if a person,
Almost closing it out. Keith Feldman from NBC, sir.
if a person walks up to a customer with a scanner and they didn't pay, and they say, "I'm going to write you a ticket," and the customer walks away or gets off the.
Well, we have a lot of ways of dealing. That challenge exists right now in various parts of our system. The folks who don't produce ID and don't cooperate are subject to very different kinds of penalties than just a mere ticket. So you start to put yourself in a police enforcement situation, not just a civil summons that goes to the tab board. So we have that challenge, but I think people are going to start to get the message. We're not going to change the world overnight, but predictable enforcement with modern technology is where I think that New Yorkers want to see this head.
All right, and closing it out, Greg Mocker from Pix
Chairman.
11. Greg.
Could we talk about the evolution of the changing turnstiles? We see one example here. I remember being with you in Jamaica when something like a door was being tested, and some
Greg,
in
you're going to
Atlantic
see
Avenue.
them all start to pop up around the system in the next month or two. And you can see, listen, we've tested them around the world. They are not absolutely perfectly impenetrable. This is not, Ocean's 11 with the bank vote, but what they are is a very different level of physical deterrence for people who are trying to get in for free. And they've worked well in deployments in Washington and out west at a couple locations. And I've seen them in European locations. We think they can make a difference, and we've got big money in our new capital program to install new fare gates at 100+ stations that represent more than 75% of our total ridership in the next 5 years. So we're serious about this. We're going to make the fare gate a little harder to mess with.
All right, thank you, sir. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.